Welcome. You're listening to the Leading Hope Podcast. My name is VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for joining us, taking time out of your day to become a better leader. If you're new, we release a new episode every Wednesday. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Get that automatically downloaded every week. Also, share this with a friend on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and rate and review on Apple Podcasts. You won't believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands of so many more leaders just like you. Visit leadinghope.online. Get updates, how to find out more about the Leading Hope community. Today, Kevin, we are in episode 149.
149, one away.
One away. I can't
from
believe
150.
it. That is crazy talk. But you have titled this one, Apologize.
Apologize. No,
Apologize.
It was like, it's not a title. It's a statement.
Oh,
letting you know.
Go ahead and start.
Like, I'm waiting on you.
You first. Is that what this is about? I can't wait. Let's go.
Ridiculously, after that intro,
Yeah.
I would say like most of these episodes that we do come out of things we are awful at.
Yeah.
Like most of the thing, like, hey, here's how we learn not to blow this.
Yep.
Here's how we learn not to mess this up. This one, like, if I just say, like, I'm actually good at this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I would say that's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your raving endorsement of my ability to apologize.
I agree with you. I agree.
Thank you.
I agree. You are. Never mind. Go ahead.
So this is what I want to kind of just like walk through today. Mostly is I want to talk about how to actually apologize, especially in a work setting.
Yeah.
I think this works for anything, but especially in a work setting. But first I want to explain just kind of why this matters. Okay.
Yep.
So like, first off, it matters because you're not going to get everything right.
Yeah.
We acknowledge.
Yeah.
You are not perfect. You're going to mess it up, sometimes accidentally. Like, I mean, you're unaware of how you messed it up. Other times, you just didn't care that much,
Okay.
and so you messed it up.
Okay.
We acknowledge that?
Yeah, I just looked at my shirt and said on purpose, and I thought you were going to go,
Mess it
sometimes
up
you mess
on
it up
purpose.
on purpose.
No.
I was like, okay, that's not a thing.
But in the midst of that, I want to say, like, the only reason why you might not need to apologize consistently is if you're just a dictator and you care not at all what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
We acknowledge that?
Yeah.
Say, for the rest of us, when we fall short, we will absolutely have to apologize.
Yeah.
And so, like, on our team, we have a trust code. It's kind of our values for how we work with. Some of them, we say, the best idea wins.
Yeah.
That's absolutely important. We say it to your face so you don't get stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
I will fail to live into those.
Yeah.
There are times in which I will not do what I desire to do. And in that gap, if I care about the culture of the team, if I care about the other people on the team, if I'm not just a dictator at the core, I will need to apologize.
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah.
Cool. I actually had, I was laughing about this. The other week, I was in the office for 3 days, and I apologized to 7 people.
Yeah. That's it's a high number.
It's more than 2 a day.
Yeah.
So
I love that you counted, though.
Well, it wasn't until I was in a meeting and I was like going through the room because we were talking about something. I was like, oh, I apologize to you and you and you. Holy cow. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know what the ratio of how often you should be apologizing. I want to say that like 7 in 3 days is probably I'm messing up too much. Like 2+ a day is probably I need to work on discipline and my behavior.
Yeah.
But if you're never apologizing, you need to work on apologizing.
Yeah.
And you need to know how to do it.
That's
so
good.
I want to walk
good.
through just a couple things. V, feel free to break any of these down as we walk through them. So here are 4 kind of key things on how to apologize. I don't want to give like just the like obvious thing that hopefully you learned in elementary school. Like look them in the eye. Say you're sorry, although we're going to touch on some of that some. Okay, so this is like a little bit beyond that, if we could acknowledge. First thing on how to apologize. Authenticity is everything. Authenticity is everything. And that is like, if you're not actually sorry, it doesn't matter what you say. If you don't actually care about the other person and how you have inconvenienced them, hurt them, disrupted what they were doing, caused them more work, like if you don't actually care about those things, then what you say, how you go about it doesn't matter at all. So first off, authenticity is everything.
That's good.
Good?
Yep.
2, never take the easy way out. Always do it in person. That's what we want to be clear on. Never take the easy way out. Always do it in person. So one of the things we've talked about before on this podcast, it's not our idea, is the difference between 2D and 3D messaging. Here's my 30-second take on that very quickly. Is 2D, there are 2D mediums, meaning print, paper, email, things that do not communicate nuance, tone. Text is another 2D medium. There are 3D mediums, in person, phone calls, video chats, videos. Like, they communicate posture, they communicate empathy. You can tell if someone's being sarcastic. You can tell if someone thinks this is funny. So there's 2D and 3D mediums. There's also 2D and 3D messages. 2D messages are things that are flat. It's just pure information. 3D messages need to communicate information. The greatest example of this is we have all sat in a meeting that we have thought that should have been an email. And we have all received an email that we thought that should have been a meeting. And that is the difference. When you communicate 2D information through 3D messaging, you waste everyone's time.
Yeah.
But when you communicate 3D information through 2D messaging that's flat and lifeless, you run the great risk of being misheard, not communicating purpose, intent, everything that you want to. The messaging loses its richness. And so what I just want to acknowledge here is to say, like, it is so much easier to apologize through text. Do not do it.
Good.
Ever. Like, at worst,
wow,
make a phone call.
Yeah.
But better than that, always strive to do it in person. And I think the reality is that if you are texting, emailing apologies, the natural assumption will be is that you're not being authentic.
Yeah.
You don't actually care. And so we acknowledge, first piece, authenticity is everything. The second one, never take the easy way out. Always do it in person.
Yeah. For those taking notes, I did find it where you did that in episode 23, way back. Episode 23, communicating through uncertainty. If you're taking notes, you
126 episodes ago.
There you go.
That was good math.
Thank you.
Can we acknowledge that?
I'll take credit for it.
Third thing on how to apologize is
I apologize for taking credit for something I shouldn't have.
That's great. Is be specific. That's what we should have done in this episode. We should have just apologized to each other the entire time in an obnoxious way. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't think about that in advance. Third key for apologizing is be specific. Clarify what you're apologizing for. So it's not just I'm sorry that I'm sorry because. And it's not just I want to emphasize, when you are being specific, your apology must be framed in the context of your personal responsibility. This is what I'm responsible for. Terrible apology. Ready?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I made you mad.
Yep. That was exactly what I was going to say. Never follow up with you.
Yeah. It is like,
don't ever do it.
I am sorry that I created problems for you because I was not timely when I should have been, and I knew better, and I won't let it happen again. Yeah. That's but it's not like hey, I'm sorry you got upset by what I said.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
I think some people's honest attempts at apologies, and I think sometimes it actually comes from an authentic place.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't know how to apologize.
Yep.
They see how someone reacts. They know that wasn't good, and so they apologize, but in light of their reaction instead of the other person, instead of their responsibility. Yep. Say, I'm sorry you. No.
Yep. That was about 3/4 of my life. That's how I apologize. I'm sorry you. That was it. I'm like, why don't they believe me?
Because it's only a half step away from being just a sheer insult. I'm sorry you're such a moron.
The next thing you follow up with is that you run them over with your car. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'm sorry you're so thin-skinned and you can't take a joke. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah. It's exactly what that one is.
Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. It's always framed in terms of personal responsibility. Be specific, not just I'm sorry. Frame it in terms of personal responsibility. Now, here's the thing that I think is the most nuanced part of this, and this is really important. is, so we've talked about authenticity is everything. Never take the easy way out. Do it in person. Be specific. And here's the fourth one, which is kind of where I'd like to camp for most of the rest of our time, is to say, never rationalize, but you can coach. Never rationalize. Never make light of what you've done wrong, but you can put yourself in a spot where you are coaching the other person to put you in a position to succeed. And this is like a really thin line, okay? So I hope this makes sense. And here's my example, is my apology with you the other day.
Oh.
So VJ came into my office on a Monday morning. He was sharing.
That was just dumb, by the way.
He was sharing for about 15 minutes. I was giving him nothing, like completely zoned out. At one point in time, I think you just got up and left. I don't even think you said bye. I
didn't.
Just like,
I didn't. It's like, but I had realized it, and I didn't even need to say anything. I was like, at this point, I understand that I have chosen the wrong time to be here. Therefore, I'm going to remove myself. I'm not going to say anything. I just left. Yep. I just picked up my stuff and like, deuces.
So the reality is, like, for me, Mondays are just terrible.
Yeah,
like they are.
And I knew that.
I'm done. I've already got the pressure of writing the message for the next week. So I'm just like, I'm feeling exhausted and feeling the pressure all at once. So I want to be clear, because I felt like I apologized to you well.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, this next example would have really fallen hard in a hurry.
Yeah. So
what I didn't do is I didn't say to VJ, I didn't say, hey, I'm sorry, Mondays are no good for me. Because that is now rationalizing my behavior. I'm sorry, Sundays are long, Mondays I'm tired. That wasn't a good time for you to talk to me.
Yep.
That's not actually an apology because I'm not taking personal responsibility. But this is, I want to make sure I get my wording right, okay?
Yep.
This is how you can not rationalize your behavior, but still coach. And so you can say, I'm sorry I wasn't attentive. It would help me better if you brought up those things on Tuesday or even later on Monday, rather than Monday morning.
Yep.
And so I'm not in any way saying this is your fault. I am saying this is my responsibility, but you would help me in the future if we would do things at these times.
Yep.
And I think that's the key, is to acknowledge that, like, in your apology, as long as all of the responsibility still stays on you, you can help someone, put you in a position to succeed in your apology by coaching them on how to pull out your best behavior for them.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have more on that?
No, this is like, I think that's so important, but I really don't know what else to say that really grasps the issue.
No, I mean, I think that all those things are what a apology encompasses. I know that later in the week, I think it was that week, maybe it was before, I apologized to you. Because we
apologize to each other a lot, if you're not picking that up.
So because we work a lot together. So there's a lot of opportunity for apologies. And you'll find, actually, that's a really good point. Like, the more that you spend time with the people that you're trying to accomplish a mission with together, the more that you're going to find yourself apologizing to them because you're with them all the time. Like, that's going to happen.
There's no, they should know I'm sorry.
Right.
No, you have to tell them you're sorry.
Right. Like, that's probably the people that actually, when we're talking about who should we be apologizing to.
Oh, that's great.
It's the people that we're around the most, because they have to take the brunt of everything that we are going through within our days, our weeks, our seasons. Yep. Right. So those are probably the ones that you probably need to reflect on most. I know one of the biggest questions you always ask is, what's it like to be on the other side of me? Great time to apologize once you find that out.
Oh, yeah. Can I give you this was a cool thing the other day. One of my kids, this is kind of an awkward thing, but like, they had a run-in with an authority figure in which they were mistreated. I'm not going to say like anything. I'm not saying anything dire, drastic. It was just the authority figure took advantage of their position of authority, and they weren't in the right.
Right.
It was just like that wasn't great. And I was talking to one of my kids afterwards, and they said, well, when you do that, you always apologize. And that was just like a moment. I was like, my kids know that I'm going to blow it, but then I'll come back and I'll apologize.
That's good. That's powerful. I was just saying, like, when I I just found myself like, I try not to complain. Like I really try hard not to complain. When I do, it's to you.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't want to be that, but like, I feel like I can, but sometimes I feel like afterwards I'm like, oh man, I need to apologize to him for that. like he doesn't need to bear.
I know which time you're talking about.
He doesn't need to bear, he doesn't need to be the person that continually hears if I'm going to complain, to be the one that always has to take the complaint, right? Like that's terrible. And so I had to apologize for that. And I apologize. I wanted to make sure you knew that you're not responsible for my frustrations. Yeah. Like that's not your job in life. And it was like, I realized that after I said it, like, again, like spending that much time around the people that you're working with, I'm like, this is not his role. I need to make sure he knows he doesn't need to be this person for me.
Could I take that? First off, let me thank you for that, because you do that so well. I think there's this piece, maybe this isn't directly in the idea of apologize. Maybe some people need to apologize to others in light of this.
Yeah.
Most people don't grasp that when they're speaking to the leader of an organization, every complaint that they have, the leader feels full responsibility for that.
Yep.
Whether it's directly them or not.
Yep.
And so like I had to go through this with my wife for a while, and just to be like, hey, you can't say that to me, because now on this day, my day off that we have together, I'm now spending the next 8 hours consumed with how I'm going to fix this.
Wow.
And for you, it was a momentary annoyance. But for me, this is something I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
And so I can't just gloss over that. The reason why our organization is good is because I'm always willing to make it better. Yeah. And I would say, like, I always appreciate that, because you do that. Because, like, when you have moments there you're like, hey, I'm frustrated with this, you'll always come back in the end, but you don't need to carry that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it different, which relieves me of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important, because you should have people in your corner that you can speak freely to. I didn't have that for most of my life.
Yeah.
And it was, so because of that, no apologies ever happened, because there was no an opportunity for the apology. Yeah. Which is such a weird back way to say that you should be aware of how to apologize and who to apologize to, because of the people that you're spending time with. It's good.
If I can go back to that last idea of the never rationalize, but you can coach. Just some other examples I'm aware of this as I think through it. Is say like, I had a staff member one time that they were always 5 minutes late for a 9 o'clock meeting, always 5 minutes late. And they come every single time and apologize. I'm sorry, which I do like the phrase. Some people have used the phrase, instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late, say thank you for waiting, which I kind of love that. Oh. I think that's a great turn on that. But they went through, sorry, fire truck going behind us. If you can hear that online in any way, that was way fun. But after a while, they were consistently late. And then they finally said, it would be a lot easier for me, because of when I drop off my kids and do this, I really have no ability to hit here at 9. If we could move this meeting to 9:15, I would always be on time. I was more than willing to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the piece to say. They weren't rationalizing their behavior. They were sorry that they were late, but they were also putting me in a position in which I could help them succeed.
Yeah.
And as I say, when that is framed in the sense that it's not an excuse, it still claims personal responsibility, and you frame it that you are doing this would be in their best interest. Sorry, them doing this would be in your best interest. You would be helping them succeed. I think that's just a really powerful thing.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, that's it. That wraps up this this episode of How to Apologize. Next one is going to be When to Apologize. That's a whole other episode, but said seriously, wrap this up. 149, apologize.
Yeah, if you're apologizing 7 times in 3 days, you're probably messing up too much. But if you're never apologizing, then there's a problem. Apologizing should be a frequent part of your communication, especially for those who you are in closest contact with.
That's right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're new to the podcast or haven't haven't yet subscribed, it'd mean the world to us if you did that now. Also, post about it, rate and review on Apple Podcasts. You won't believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands of so many more leaders just like you. We love hearing your stories of how the podcast is working in your life and business. If you have a story, visit leadinghope.online. Send that to us. We would love to hear from you. And remember, everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count.